Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Tests and Chats. It's been a while. I'm here with Karim.
Hello.
Yes, we're getting another addition to the Last of Us pieces that we've done here already. We've already got Ellie's tattoo here. We've got the Firefly symbol there. So now we're getting the guitar, the little cassette that Joel gave her for her birthday, the backpack, and a drawing from both Ellie and Joel with a little knife in the middle there. So tell them a little bit about yourself and what this tattoo means to you.
I'm 21. I love video games and anime and watching TV and all that.
Sounds like the dream.
I just love The Last of Us so much because it's just like it's so realistic and the characters are just so well written and fleshed out.
And I've never had a game that made me cry in the first 10 minutes.
Oh,
like The
yeah.
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like that first game, oof, jeez. Like the fact that they've remastered that game, like 4 times now?
Yeah, they
Because it was so
re-released it on PS4 and PS5.
Yeah. It was, PS3, PS4, and then like the PS4, the PS5, and then the PS5 Pro or whatever. They've done another thing for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, that game's got some love.
And I just love Ellie because it's like she's been through so much shit, but she still like cracks jokes and she's still like
girl after my own heart.
Sort of innocent, like
Cracking them dad jokes.
she gets amazed by an escalator in the mall.
Oh yeah, and then she like gets freaked out by the thought of like they used to drive around and give ice cream to children.
Yeah, like she is so innocent because like she knows nothing about like how it used to be.
Oh yeah, there's that first little stab.
Not too bad though.
Temporary pain for a lifetime of games.
Yeah. What else can I say about me? I have lots of other tattoos as well. I have my left thigh covered.
A very awesome
And
anime piece.
Yeah, actually won an award actually at the Tattoo Expo last year in July. So that's probably my biggest achievement. I've also got my left arm covered with anime girls. So that's also pretty cool.
I did your first tattoo, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. On my shoulder. That was My Little Pony tattoo.
Twilight Sparkle? Or
No, that was Rarity.
Rarity, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't remember their names.
Yeah. But all my tattoos like mean something significant to me and represents a different like era in my life. So
like a lot of the times you've come in for tattoos, you've said it's like almost like a therapy thing.
Yeah.
Like getting something done.
Like I don't just, I'm not that kind of person to just be like, I want to get a tattoo today. And I'll just like go in randomly and pick something random. Like
sometimes I feel like you need a tattoo.
Like I actually like think it out. Like, yeah. Like a few weeks ago, I went and got that small one done just because I needed something.
You were having a day, so you needed to treat yourself.
Yeah. I wasn't in the best headspace around then. I still not 100% am, but I am getting better slowly. So,
and that's the thing. Like a lot of people think that tattoos are just this indulgence thing that people are doing to like, oh, they're just wasting their money. It's like that. People spend money on therapy. People spend money on like they feel like having a bad day. They go buy themselves a new wardrobe or new clothes or something. It's like tattoos are basically just an extension of that. Like you're doing something to help you feel better.
It also like gives you a safe release of pain.
It does. Yeah, it's a safe form of self-harm. It sounds weird, but it's true.
Yeah. It's better than alternatives.
Yeah. Well, the wife's therapist told her it was basically like tattoos are a socially sanctionable version of self-harm. They leave a pretty scar. It's like you get the same endorphin release, and it's also, from my understanding, I've never self-harmed myself before, but from what people have told me, it's they use the physical pain to help dull the mental pain, and it helps them take back control of themselves from like what they can't control, sort of thing. So it's like they're choosing this pain and making it a part of their strength, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I've thought about it, like harming myself a few times, but then I just thought to myself, like, I've got these awesome tattoos, I don't want to ruin them.
Yeah.
So it also like kind of gives me like a defense thing as well.
So it's basically like a little armor thing. So you have to look at the tattoo and be like, do I really want to harm this because of just how I'm feeling?
Yeah. Like I don't want to harm any of my anime girls. Like
No. They're too cute to harm.
No.
They're adorable.
Like I'm so sorry, Miku. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what tattoos mean to everybody else. Like, there are some people who get them just because they look pretty or like they saw something and just like, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna get that. And then some people, it's legitimately like a therapeutic experience for them.
Mm. Like the one that's on the top of my left arm, it's Marin Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling.
Mm.
I literally only thought about getting her for like 3 days before I decided on it.
Mm. But you settled on it. It was like,
I watched the show, got super attached to her because I usually get attached to things really, really quickly, especially if I like identify with her.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I pretty much watched the show, got obsessed with it, watched the Blu-ray and bought the limited edition Blu-ray set, got more obsessed, booked a tattoo. So, and everyone was like, oh, why would you only get her if you only watched her for 3 days? And I'm like, she's like the kind of person I want to grow into.
You identified with her.
Yeah.
Hey, that's nowhere near as bad as I used to work in the shop over in Australia Fair. And there was a guy who came in and we were doing a Star Wars flash sale thing. And he saw this little symbol that we had of like Darth Vader's mask. And he was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to get that on my earlobe.
Why would you get that on the earlobe?
And you know what's even worse? He had never seen Star Wars before.
Oh my God.
He didn't even know who it was. He just thought it was a cool looking mask. So don't feel bad for getting attached to something you've seen rather than just being like, that's cool. I'm going to get that.
Like there are a few characters in some video games I've never played, although I do like their character design.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, I have the same thing. It's like I've seen characters from shows and stuff that I've never seen that I thought, that's a pretty cool design. I know absolutely nothing about them, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't get a tattoo of it, but I'm a picky bitch like that. Like I've got Goku and Vegeta tattooed on me because Dragon Ball Z is life. And since Akira Toriyama has passed, they've released Daima, which I haven't watched yet. I'm waiting for the dub to come out so me and the wife can watch it together because she doesn't like the subs. And the fact that they're finishing up Dragon Ball Super as well is going to be the end of an era. So when that happens, it's going to be a very bittersweet moment to see the culmination of all of Toriyama's work coming together. Because his work has been absolutely integral to so many people's lives. And honestly, like top 3 favorite anime of all time is the Dragon Ball series. I'd say the only ones that beat it out would be probably Berserk and, well, Berserk for the manga and maybe Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood would be up there as well. But I'd still have to say that Dragon Ball Z is like the top one for me. Because I'm all about story. I'm all about character development. I'm all about like building the world and feeling for these characters. That's why The Last of Us was such a huge game for me because all the characters felt so real. Like a lot of the video games that you play, these characters just feel like they are not real people. They feel like they're just like super fucking molded to be this like ultimate titular character. Whereas like The Last of Us shows you like, this is what real people would be like if this shit was to happen. Yeah,
especially that part where she goes to like the what do you call it in the first game when she gets captured.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, like seeing like the people who like they turn to cannibalism or like hunting themselves. It's like what happened with The Walking Dead. It's like you got some people who will hold on to their humanity and then some people will be like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna have fun.
Hmm.
Like, I honestly don't know how I would go in that scenario. I think I would be very, I would just be probably going around like hiding and collecting shit.
Hmm.
I would probably try to avoid people as much as possible because in a zombie, well, this is what we'll call them because, there's no real, what are they called in the game?
Clickers.
Yeah, no, but there's like a specific term for them. Yes, but basically in that sort of a thing where you've got like a zombie clicker sort of scenario, you are more in danger from other humans than you are from the monsters.
Hmm.
Because you know that the monsters they just want one thing. So you just have to avoid them. Whereas with people, you start to trust them. You start to like do all this sort of stuff and then they can just turn around and backstab you.
Hmm. Yeah, I reckon I'd be one of the first ones to die in that scenario.
See, the wife has told me that if that does ever happen, she's just like, just take me out. I don't want to go around scrounging around for food. Just do what they did in The Walking Dead. Just let a zombie bite me, cut my arms off, cut my lower jaw off, and use me as a deterrent. Because like what Michonne does in the series is like she has those two dudes where she just cuts their arms and their fucking lower jaw off, and because she's around the other walkers, they don't attack her because they think that she's just one of them.
Hmm.
So it's like, if that's the case, then sure, she can be my pack mule. I'll just go around with my guitars and just start lopping off some heads. Hey, it's something we've all thought about doing. Just running around being a zombie samurai.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think that was the other thing that drew me so much to The Last of Us is like, I'm not a massive fan of multiplayer games.
Me neither. I don't really
can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I don't really have that many friends, and the ones that I do have aren't gamers. So I don't want something that's limited to needing to have a social group. I want something that's got like the storyline. It's got that immersion, that like feel to it. Like God of War up there in terms of the best storyline.
Fucking ace.
Yeah, like when they come out with the TV series of that, if they butcher it, I'm going to riot.
I also heard they're remaking the original trilogy.
I heard that as well. I don't think that's necessary. Like, sure, I will play the hell out of it, but I don't think that is necessary. I think the newer God of Wars did a good enough job of paying homage to the original, like especially in the DLC for Ragnarok, the Valhalla, where you actually have to go back and Kratos like fights his demons from the past, sort of thing. Like that was a pretty good roundup to the original God of Wars for me. Like they even got Crispin Freeman to come back in and play Helios, which was awesome. But then you got games like probably the best mixture of story play and for those who do want online is RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm playing through that shit again now for like the 9th time. That game has got so much in it, I don't think I'll ever be able to see it all.
Yeah, I don't know how you would get the platinum trophy on that.
It has some of the most insane hidden trophy things I've ever seen. There's like 12 hidden trophies, and some of them make no goddamn sense. Like, there's one, I was looking it up. It was a video I was watching on Facebook about ridiculous achievements in games. And there's one where you have to get this little trophy statue thing as Arthur. And it's like this little beaver fucker. And there's no description. There's no nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you build the house as John Marston, you have to walk up to the thing and plunk it on there. And it's like a place for everything. And it's like, who the hell would think to do that?
Yeah. I also haven't found one dinosaur fossil.
I found 7 of them. There's still so many more I have to find. And the dream catchers as well.
Oh, yeah.
I never found all those. I'm trying to do a platinum run, but I know it's never going to fucking happen. Like there's the thing where you have to, survive 10 bear attacks and do that. And then there's another one where you have to have like a $1,500 bounty in all the areas for like 3 days straight. It's like, wow, geez, thanks.
How would you even survive that?
Yeah, like going to Blackwater is like, yeah, just dead. Just dead. It's kind of like there was that thing that happened a few years ago where they were trying to where they did a video about all like the toughest bosses and stuff from video games. And there was one that I saw, which it just made me mad. There's a boss that they had in one of the old Final Fantasy games that required like 15 people to fight it. And the fucked up part is they never actually intended anyone to be able to beat it. So there was no reward. There was no ending animation or anything. The people who were fighting this thing for like 9 hours, mind you, there's like 15 of them. They got to like 20% of its health and it just fucking disappeared.
Oh my god.
I was like, what? Why would you create something that you can fight that is not technically able to be beaten?
Mm.
Like, there are ones where they are ridiculous to fight. Like, they have like 25 million health or something ridiculous, but with enough skill, you can beat it. Or there's that one where it takes like 7 hours to fight, and there's no like save points. Like, you know how sometimes you'll fight a boss, they'll get down to a certain piece of health, and if you die, they'll go back to that piece of health. There's nothing for this one. And the cutscene for this boss is like 20 minutes long, and you can't skip it.
Mm.
So if you die, you have to sit through the 20-minute cutscene every single time. I would be absolutely livid.
Yeah, that's insane.
There are some times where the game devs are just like, fuck the fans.
Mm.
They don't deserve to like us. I am very, very, very excited, though, for the Metal Gear Alpha coming out, the remake of number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because that, for me, easily one of the top games of all time.
Mm.
Like that scene where he's climbing up the ladder where it goes to Snake Eater, and it's like the stealth and the survival aspects. So that game was way ahead of its time.
Like, I haven't played any of the Metal Gear Solid games, but like I want to get to it eventually.
It's so good. If you don't want to actually sit there and play through them all yourself, there is actually a playthrough where the guys who did Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Team 4-Star, they actually have a gaming channel where they went through and they played every single Metal Gear game from start to finish, like in order. Mm. So you can sit there and watch it all. And even if you want to do what I did for before I went back and played some of the games, I just watched the cutscene playthroughs.
Oh yeah.
So Metal Gear Solid 4 alone, I think has one cutscene that is the longest cutscene in a video game. It's like an hour.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
Hmm. So you're literally watching a movie, but still amazing. Again, I really hope they don't butcher the Metal Gear Alphas. Like the graphics look amazing, but they did a remake for Shadow of the Colossus, and don't get me wrong, the graphics in that game are amazing, but didn't feel the same as the original. Like, it didn't have that same sort of sense of wonder, and the main character's face just looks all janky.
I never played that one either.
It's a very artsy game. There's no actual, like, real dialogue as such. Like, basic rundown of the game is you play this guy called Wander, Wonder, whatever you want to call him, and he's got this princess with him, and he's taken her to this temple. Like, she's basically dead. Like, he's taken her to this temple in the middle of fucking nowhere and lays her on this, like, sacrificial table sort of thing. And there are these pillars which hold the spirits of the colossi. And in order to bring her back, he has to go through and defeat all of the colossi. And the spectacle in that game is absolutely insane because you're this tiny little dude on a horse and you're fighting these things that are the size of fucking Godzilla.
Oh my god.
So you have to like climb up their legs and attack their weak points, and you have to like maneuver around. There are some that fly, so you have to figure out a way to jump on their bodies, and you have to fight this one that's under the water, like this big fucking electric eel thing.
Oh my god.
It's an incredible game. I'd highly recommend it. There are people who try to speedrun that thing, and it's absolutely insane because I've fought some of those colossi before, and it takes me like 4 hours, and I've seen a person beat them in like 3 minutes. I'm like, fuck off. It's definitely one of those games where it's like, yeah, the remake is awesome, but it doesn't replace the original for me. or Final Fantasy VII. Another one where
That game is awesome.
I played the shit out of that game when I was a child. I think I maxed out the game clock like 3 times, like 999 hours. And the new one, I like. I definitely very much like the Final Fantasy VII remakes that they've done. I was a little annoyed that it didn't all come out at once, but they've got to make their money somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But that still hasn't replaced the original for me.
Yeah, I never played the original, so
I've got it on
the
my phone.
remake was like my first exposure to it.
Like Sephiroth is one of the best villains in all of gaming history.
Oh yeah,
you can't fight me on that.
Yeah, the voice actor is going to be at Supernova this year, so
Ooh, that would be cool.
I'm going to get him to sign my game.
Good to see you, Cloud. I will never be a memory. Did you ever see Advent Children?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude. That game came out in like the 2000s. Like, this shit is like 25 years ago and still has better graphics than 90% of the shit you'll see today. For your homework today, you go home and you find Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and you'll see exactly what I mean.
Okay.
It takes place directly after the events of Final Fantasy VII, so like once all like the destruction and shit has happened. But it's like the children of Genova are trying to resurrect Sephiroth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like clouds come down with Marco poisoning and shit like that, so he's all fucked up. But just the character modeling, the mocap, the fight sequences, it's honestly way ahead of its time and still holds up against most of the shit I see today. Like they did 2 Final Fantasy movies. They did The Spirits Within, which was just bleh. But Advent Children is, oh my god, I love that movie so much. I think that's where a lot of my love for Final Fantasy VII comes from, is because they put so much effort into so many different variations of it.
Mm.
Like the movies, the remakes, the original.
Yeah, it's just like this sacred game that like should not be messed with. Like it should be taken care of.
Like the original will always stay one of my favorites. Like it will always stay that way. But giving it a new spin and trying to say, like, we're not trying to rip off the original directly. We're trying to build upon it and create an homage to the original while still having our own creative integrity and freedom is fine. You're telling the same story, but you're putting your own spin on it. I am completely happy with that.
Mm.
Now, Dragon Ball Evolution, however, can go die a fiery death. That is the single most offensive interpretation of anything I have ever seen in my life. It was horrific. I've actually told my wife that if I ever let her see that movie, she knows we're over. It is that bad. I physically will not let her watch that movie. It is too much of an offense.
I'll stay away from it then.
Yeah, don't. Just don't. If you have any love for Toriyama or any of the Dragon Ball franchise, it is so offensive. It is so bad. I think they did a lot of horrible things with the live action adaptations to anime and stuff like that.
Oh, they always fuck it up.
The only one I've ever seen where they made it as good, if not better than the original, is Kenshin.
Mm.
Did you ever see the Kenshin series or the movies?
No, I haven't.
Oh man. Like, I know there's a lot of issues with the writer of Kenshin. He did some fucked up shit, but that shouldn't mean that the art that he created is, but whatever. So the anime, fucking incredible. The movie, mind-blowing. Like, the actors they got actually knew how to fight. They looked like the characters, and more importantly, they felt like the characters.
Hmm.
Which is important because a lot of these times you see these live-action adaptations of people and they don't feel like the person.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, a lot of people were really worried about Pedro Pascal playing Joel.
I kind of was, honestly.
It wasn't who I would have picked, Like, I was thinking more of like a Gerard Butler sort of aspect, like, but he nailed it.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with most things these days. Like, I know everyone's freaking out about the new Shrek animation.
Oh, I hate it.
I hate it too. It does not look like them. It feels wrong. I'm scared. I'm worried because Shrek is my life.
Shrek is like the movie that I grew up on.
It is the first movie that I ever memorized based on how much I watched that bloody thing.
Yeah, like I watched it like because I had the VHS tape when I was like 4 years old. I used to watch it every single freaking day, like religiously.
Yeah. Like I had that shit like committed to memory based on how much I watched that bloody thing.
And sometimes I only watch it just to watch like the fight scene and then the dragon keep scene.
Mm-hmm. Or be like, we're going to stay up late, tell a manly stories, and in the morning, I make ass.
Yeah.
So this new one, I didn't like any of the Shrek movies after 2. Like, number 2 was fine. Shrek 1 will always be my favorite, but Shrek the Third and Shrek Ever After or something?
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan.
Shrek the Third is shit, but Shrek 4 is...
That's the one with Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Yeah, it's all right.
That's what I mean. It's like they don't have that same sense of like wonder and like they don't tickle that original feeling that the original had. Like I've heard that Puss in Boots, the first one is all right, but that one with the wolf.
Oh, Puss in Boots 2 is like amazing. It's so freaking.
I still haven't watched it, but I've heard nothing but good things.
It's amazing.
So they can do sequels well. They've proven that they can, but they just don't. they don't take the time and effort to listen to the fans for what they want. Like everyone was freaking out about how Ciri is going to be the new character in The Witcher 4. And like anyone who's ever read the books or plays the game knows exactly why she is the main character. Like the story is not about Geralt. It is about Ciri. Like, Geralt is, like, yes, the main dude, but the story is serious. Like, it's all about her bloodline, her lineage, all that sort of stuff. And they were freaking out that she wasn't hot enough.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, excuse me? The fuck? People will complain about anything. I guarantee someone's going to complain about 7 or 8 things on this video. I don't know what, but I welcome the comments. Because, yeah, people will be looking to complain about anything. And you know what? The fact that I can offend you so easily without even trying gives me more power over you, so yeah. The fact that you are offended by my opinions, that's adorable. You good?
Yeah.
I do wonder when, as a society, we became so goddamn sensitive. Like, when did sticks and stones may break my bone, words will never hurt me, stop being real?
Like, because I have a disability, right? So I've always had it a bit harder than other people do. But I have had some really weird and sort of offensive conversations with people.
Like, people have given you shit. What is it, cystic fibrosis, or what's the...
cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy, sorry.
So here are some stories, right? Here are some really funny stories.
Buckle up, children.
Yeah. I have multiple times been asked to be prayed for to fix my body.
Oh, God.
In JB Hi-Fi, actually, I've been asked twice in JB Hi-Fi. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that store, but some people just come up. I remember one person came up to me. It's like, oh, hello. I was just wondering if I could pray for your legs to get better. I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to be prayed for. I'm good. Just please, like, go away.
It's like, I appreciate your concern, but it is very misplaced. Please go away.
And then I have people, like saying that like I'm an inspiration, and then like, cause I just be walking down the street, right? Just like living my life. And then I'd have someone just like go past me and be like, "Oh, good on ya," and I'm like,
What?
For what?
I'm not doing anything.
Like I'm not. I literally didn't do anything. Like I'm just trying to like live my life the best I can.
And that's something I definitely
like.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. Like I appreciate it, but like I don't want to be praised for doing nothing. I've also met some very interesting characters at the train station.
I think everybody meets interesting characters at the train station.
This is actually a really, really funny one.
Oh, good. I like funny.
I was sitting by the bus stop waiting for the bus to pick me up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this guy come up to me. He was wearing a Grand Theft Auto 5 jumper.
Okay.
I don't know how I remember that, but I just do.
It stood out.
And he noticed my tattoos. And he's like, "Oh, cool tattoos. Like, what music are you listening to?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm listening to like pop stuff." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be listening to metal." And I'm like, cause you have tattoos and stuff. I'm like, I have anime tattoos. Why would you think I'm listening to metal? Like, I do listen to metal a lot, but, and then he just started asking me like these really strange questions.
Okay.
He asked, I shit you not, he asked if I fuck like a beast.
Huh?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just like, oh my God, like you do not ask that to someone.
Hello, inappropriate.
And, well, at the time, like I hadn't been with anyone, like I've been with someone since then, but like at the time I hadn't been with anyone. So I was just like, I don't know because I haven't been with anyone yet. Like I haven't had the chance to. So, yeah. Wow. So that was just very, very awkward. So it's just like, because I have a disability, people just think they can just ask me anything. And, yeah, it just makes me a bit insecure, I guess. Like, because I have like lots of insecurities. But I think having a disability will always make you a little bit insecure. Like it'll never just like fully go away. It'll always just like be there.
I think the thing that most people search for when there is something different about them, whether it's physical, societal, whatever, is just to be treated like a person. Just to have like a regular conversation that doesn't revolve around the obvious. So I've actually tattooed quite a few people who've had either disabilities, deformations, like severe scarring or whatever it is. And all I've ever tried to do is just make them feel like people. Like not ever try to call attention to it unless they want to talk about it, because people don't want to talk about something they're already like you said, self-conscious about. They just want to have a nice time, feel treated like a person, feel treated human. So I always like to talk to people about things when they want to talk about them, not shoving it in their face, being like, hey, let's talk about this thing that's very, very obvious that you probably don't want to talk about, but I want to because it's interesting to me. Yeah, people have no tact, I think, is the big thing.
I think the first person that actually treated me like a person when I first met them is actually a sex worker that I met because I was feeling a bit depressed one day and I just went there. So I've been seeing her a few times. Like I wouldn't see anyone else.
You've gained a relationship with her. Like,
I wouldn't say a relationship, but like
an understanding.
Yeah, an understanding.
That's an important distinction.
She's on holiday right now, so I haven't been back. But she said to me like last time I saw her, she was just like, "Oh, you don't like sure you have a disability, but like you're way better than everyone else I've seen." Because like she also has a client that's in a wheelchair. She's like, "Oh, you're not that like disadvantaged. Like you can still like walk around and like do most other stuff that
like you're not a paraplegic or a quadriplegic."
And that just made me feel a lot better about myself. So yeah,
comparatively,
she's probably the first person I've talked to that has said that. which is kind of sad when you consider that she's a sex worker, but
But see, the thing is, like, I've tattooed so many sex workers. Like, I've tattooed so many who work either as strippers, prostitutes, alcohol, call girls, whatever we want to call them. And it's the same thing. It's like they're dealing with people who are looking for a connection. They are dealing with people who sometimes, like, there's one who had an old man who didn't even want to have sex with her. All he wanted was to lay in bed with her and cuddle because he'd lost his wife. He had known her for like 60 years. He'd never known anybody else. He'd never slept with anyone else before. So all he wanted was connection.
Mm.
And it's getting over the stigma of saying, oh, it's a sex worker sort of thing. It's like, they're still people and they're doing something that not a lot of people can do.
Like, honestly, that is going to a sex worker is like low-key more therapeutic than seeing an actual therapist.
Yeah. I would definitely say that for a lot of people it is because
I went there a few weeks ago, and because I was just feeling a bit sad, I just needed a hug. Like it's just sometimes when you just like need a hug,
just needed the touch of another person.
And I was home alone because my sister was at work and my other sister was at school and my parents were at work, so I was just like all alone. And I'm just like, I need connection. Like, I need a hug. So I literally went there and I just hugged someone for like half an hour.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's all you need. Like it's human
like
connection.
No intercourse, no nothing, just hugs and just like understanding. And that made me feel so much better. So I think they just get a bad rap. Like, sure, they sell themselves, but they also like give people comfort and security and companionship.
You know that I've actually been equated to a sex worker because I sell myself. I actually went to the bank for a where we were discussing my home loans and stuff like that. And apparently, what I do is considered a form of prostitution. So we went there, and I'm actually in the same subcategory as sex worker or prostitute.
Oh my God.
Because it's high risk, like you are selling your services sort of thing. And I'm just like, really? Like, I guess so. I stick it in people for a living. And they keep coming back. I make them feel good.
I saw a TikTok about tattoo myths that people believe.
Okay, give me some. I want to hear some.
And there was just they were interviewing people in a tattoo shop, and people were saying, one person said, like, oh, tattoos aren't actually addictive. Someone just hurt you really bad. And I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right. But yeah, some other myths were like, you can't get a job with getting tattoos.
Certain jobs, yes.
Certain jobs, yeah, but I think like society's become a lot more accepting.
I think the ones that people get that give them issues with jobs and such are like hand and face tattoos.
And neck tattoos as well.
Yeah, so there are some places that don't like that, especially if they're working around, say, like elderly people who are people like very sensitive, that sort of thing. So that's understandable. But just having, like, say, a rose on your arm that says mum or something is not going to stop you from getting a job.
Yeah.
I had some people who've asked me to do like finger tattoos for their first. And I'm just like, okay, so what do you do for work? And they look at me just like, why does that matter? It's like, because they're called job stoppers. Like, you will get people who will look at you and be like, I'm not hiring you.
If you want to get something like a bit NSFW, like at least get it somewhere that's like hidden.
Hideable, yes.
Yeah, like on your hip or like on your upper thigh.
Something you could show if you want, but is not openly visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some weird, raunchy stuff on people before, and I'm just like, this is probably not the best place to put this. Like, I had one guy, I didn't end up doing the tattoo. Like, I'm not easily, like, offended or anything like that, but I do find some things, like, in bad taste. So, this guy wanted to do a Virgin Mary on his arm. He wanted it from here to here, so quite large and very upfront. But he wanted her body made out of a vagina.
Oh, how do you even do that?
So imagine like the clit is the head, the robes are the lips, and then like he wanted like hair and you're bleeding at the. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do that.
What the?
And his argument was like, oh, what are you fucking religious or something? I'm just like, no, but I have taste, and I don't want that on. I don't want people seeing that and you telling them where you got it and having all your weird fucking mates coming asking me to do more of that for you.
Like, even I'm not religious, like, at all. But even, like, I respect other religions and stuff.
It's like, yeah, there's just some things that you don't do.
I think that's when my depression started, is when my uncle passed on New Year's Eve of 2022, of all fucking days. And then I couldn't get a job for like 10 freaking months. And I got a new puppy, but I had to rehome him 6 months later because he wouldn't get along with my other dog.
Oh, yeah, that is big. You got to get them close together.
And my job agency that I was with, I applied for a call center job, and I didn't get it. And they called me back and they said, oh, you're literally like the first person that we've ever had that hasn't gotten that job.
Oh.
And I'm like,
thanks.
Gee, thanks. That makes me feel so much better. So it's just like one bad thing after the other just took its toll on me and just, you know.
Yeah, I had a bit of a mental issue the other last night, actually, because I'm working on this book. And it's my first novel that I've ever done. Like, I've done another audiobook before, but this one's the first one that had, like, multiple characters, and it's like a 9-hour book, so it's pretty big.
Jeez.
And I'm not professionally trained or anything like that. Like, I've done a little course on it, but I was just kind of using my own, like, initiative. And I thought I was doing a really good job. Like, he was telling me from the beginning that, like, oh, you've done very good. The characters are awesome, yada, yada, yada. But it's getting towards the end. And because I do a lot of my recordings at night, like after I finish work here, I'm probably not finishing till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning most nights.
Oh my God.
And apparently I've let a lot of mistakes get through the recordings. Like, I've mispronounced things, or I've like missed a word here or there. And I thought that was pretty normal. But then he messaged me and said, oh, I've never had to actually do this many fixes on a book that I've ever worked on before. And I'm just like, oh. Yeah. I literally broke down and I was just like, what? I didn't think I was fucking up that badly. Like, I know that it's my first, and the wife was trying to console me about it and everything. It's like, it still hit hard. Like, I like to think I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, if not like I try to do my best in everything I do. And hearing that I have made more mistakes than anyone he's ever worked with, it kind of hurt. But it's like, if I focus only on that, then I'm probably never going to do anything like that again. It's like, when I first started tattooing, I was terrified to tattoo people. Like, I was...
Yeah, like you're literally
I'm permanently doing something on someone forever. And...
So, like, you can't...
I've got to put my mindset back into that sort of thing. It was like, you're never going to be perfect starting off with anything. So you got to find out what you did wrong, mark that down, and say, I am never going to make that mistake again. Like, if I need to take an extra day or two to do the editing and final checks before I send off the recording, so be it. I think I was trying to do too much too quickly. Like, working here all day, 5 days a week, and then doing that at nighttime. I was getting a bit burned out. Like, I was doing a lot. So I think I need to prioritize things a little bit better and allocate some more appropriate times to do the recording, so I don't let mistakes like that go through. Like, I fixed the mistakes that he's told me about. And it's still going to be like published and done for Audible and stuff, but it's definitely put a fire under my ass to say, like, look, if you're going to do this, do it properly. Don't take any shortcuts. Don't compromise the final result just to try and get things done quickly. So it's a mental game. You got to accept the fact that you've made a mistake. And even if you haven't made a mistake, even if it's just something that's like, it's a learning curve. You've got to take whatever lumps they give you and be like, okay, take that on. But I was not in a good way for a couple of days because I was just wallowing on it, being like, oh my God, I'm messing up. I've screwed up. He's never going to want to work with me again. But if I think like that, I'm never going to get over it. So
those kind of thoughts go through my head like every single fucking day. It's exhausting.
It is. It really is. Like I was not in a good space. Like I don't get emotional very often at all, but I was not having a good time.
Like I always get like thoughts being like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Like you're never going to get a job. You're never going to succeed. You're a failure. Like all that kind of shit. And it's okay during the day because it's like I'm busy like during the day doing stuff. But when it really hits hard, it's like when it's like nighttime and like no one else is awake and it's like midnight. So
You're
it's like
trapped
really
with your
like
own thoughts.
and I'm just like trapped with my own thoughts and I just like have a
downward spiral.
like a mental breakdown and like a downward spiral.
I've had that before too.
Yeah, like I have a body pillow that I can like hold on to get to sleep, but it doesn't really replace like human contact. But
it's something.
Yeah, it is something. But most of the time I have to listen to ASMR or like meditation.
Oh, I put
like
on
that to get to sleep.
I put on music whenever I'm trying to get to sleep now. It just helps so much. Like I've got like the old school like Celtic folk music and like,
oh yeah,
like imagine like Lord of the Rings sort of style things where it's like I feel like I'm floating over a green field or like the sound of rain or something. It just helps so much to get to sleep because listening to silence or listening to ambient silence is the worst. When you hear literally nothing, but you can hear like the hum in your head or like you can listen to your own heartbeat, it's louder than any actual background noise.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to get to sleep.
Like I listen to audio role plays. So I just like try to immerse myself in the role as much as I can, just to like get my mind off of everything. But yeah. It's actually one of my tattoos that I have is one of the ASMR artists that I listen to a lot.
Yeah, the one with the heart.
Yeah. So she's helped me through a lot.
Did you send her a picture of the tattoo that you got for her?
Yeah, I did, but she hasn't. She didn't reply to it.
Yeah, when you got people who have like large channels, they very rarely see these things.
But I remember the first couple of days I went on the cruise over New Year's last year, I was just like, get me the fuck off this ship. Like, I hate this. I like hate the constant swaying and like always moving and stuff. The videos, the ASMR role plays that I downloaded were pretty much the only thing keeping me sane like the first couple of days. But then I started like meeting other people on the ship and I've actually added them all on Instagram. Shout out to everyone. Cool. You know who you are. But yeah, so I was just hanging out with them the entire cruise and they made my experience a lot more fun and a lot more memorable. So
yeah, it's the people that you're around can very much affect like how your mental health goes. I think that's why I've always tried to have such a very limited social circles because I've been around a lot of people. I meet a lot of people all the time, and some of them are very mentally exhausting to the point where it's like if I was to be around a certain people for like a couple of hours, I would be wanting to tear my hair out. And the thing about this job is that outside of this chair, I'm not a very sociable person. Like I don't go out and hang out with friends. I don't really go out anywhere unless I have to go shopping or something. I like to stick to myself. Like this job has made me be a social butterfly, but at home, I'm a social armadillo. I like to curl up in my little ball. I like to have my little space and I like to just be in my own little safe corner. Before I started doing this job, that was me all the time. I had no social group. I had no like interaction. I had no capability of talking to people. Like, I would never be able to do this thing. Like, 10 years ago, I was an absolute train wreck when it came to social anxieties and shit like that. My first girlfriend probably didn't help with that. She was a bit of a psychotic wench. Very mentally abusive and like to tear you down and all that sort of shit. Basically made me feel like nothing I ever did was good enough and I should just stop trying. So it's like, well, okay. And then when I started doing this like professionally, and then when I met the wife, when I met Tony, I started to realize that like not everyone is that bad. Not everyone is so terrible. Not everyone is so scary. But even then, it's just like a lot of people look at us and they're like, "How the hell do you two work together? I could never work with my significant other. I could never spend that much time with them."
You're just like on the same wavelength a lot of the time.
You gotta find someone who like you not only enjoy spending time with, but you can like connect with is the important thing. It's like connection is so huge. And I think that's why we've been together as long as we have, is because we understand each other in such a way where it's like, I know when she's having a day and there's nothing I can say that's going to do it. So all I just do is I'll like sit on the couch and I'll just like stroke her hair, or I'll just like have my hand on her arm. And just like you said, that touch, that connection is all it takes to sort of not get rid of it, but help.
Yeah.
Like there are some times where I ask her, like, babe, what can I possibly do to help? And she's just like, just be there. Just be here for me. And that to me is a stronger connection than like 90% of the people that I know who've like been in those like physical only relationships where like they're attracted to the person and they had some fun. But once that novelty is worn off, they just start to annoy each other.
Yeah.
So the connection and understanding trumps like physical attraction and like fun anytime, I'd say.
Like that's half the reason why I go to a sex worker is because like, sure, like I get to be intimate. Like that's also fun, but like I also get to have that human connection.
You get to have that those few minutes where it's just like, I don't need to worry about anything. I'm just here in the moment.
Like the one that I usually see, she doesn't get straight to business. Like she usually just like has a little chat with me first.
I think that's important.
I actually made her cry once, so
just like I was just like casually throwing that. I was like, I made a second.
I was like telling all my
trauma
to her, which like she's been through all the same stuff as like she's also an antidepressant. She's also had anxiety and she's also like had really bad thoughts. So like we're kind of like
gelling.
Like gelling a lot. And I was telling her like, oh, I feel like I'm a burden to my family and all that shit. And like she started crying. And I'm like, oh my God, do you need a hug? Like I also need a hug, but like, do you need a hug?
Mutual hug.
So yeah, I often think of that moment a lot because it just makes me realize that like sex workers are also people with like actual emotions.
If anything, people who like do the sex work industry are stronger people than most people give them credit for, because I guarantee you 90% of the people who give them shit could not do what they have to do.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't put on that, not so much an act, but like put on the mask to say like, I have to be happy. I have to be jovial. I have to be completely connected. I have to, like, no matter who comes through that door, I've got to be like 100%. Like, there's a lot of, not so much theater involved in doing that sort of work, but like psychology is important. Like they have to be their own little psychiatrist. They have to understand what people want.
Like once she started crying, she snapped out of it within like 5 seconds.
Yeah. She like composure.
She just like, just tapped her cheeks a few times and just like got back into it. Like, wow, that was really fast.
Yeah. She had to know how to be like, okay, don't get attached. Just business.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like a lot of my clients. So it's like, I get along well with a lot of my clients. Like we have a good chat. We have a good sort of like social standing and stuff like that. And I don't really have a social group. I just have the ability to amalgamate myself into whatever social standing is currently there. So I can talk to anyone about pretty much anything. It's just become part of the job. Like, you have to understand what people need, where they come from, like how everything sort of interacts. Like, some people have tattoos that are much more emotionally charged. So the experience has to be a lot more considered than just putting ink into their skin. It's like, some people have just lost a family member.
If you like lose a dog or like a family member, or if you're getting a portrait.
Exactly. So like, there's a lot of emotion attached to what they're getting. So being able to register and understand their emotional needs as well as like what they're wanting artistically is very important. And it's not something that you can just teach. It's something you have to observe. It's something you have to do enough tattoos or be with enough people and sex workers things to understand that everyone has their own needs and or like triggers, I think is the better word. Yeah. So you have to learn to recognize what the triggers are. Like, trigger doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It's just like what gets a reaction.
Yeah.
So they have to register as like, okay, he'll need this to make him feel more comfortable. He'll need this to get him turned on. He'll need this to sort of get him like in a sort of like a comfortable sort of mood. So it's like picking out and knowing where the things are is the same thing with tattooing. It's like, okay, they need to have like this sort of music on for this person. They can't have this song because that was the funeral song for this person or whatever. So you can't have that on. It's registering and understanding everybody's individual needs, wants, triggers, whatever you want to call it.
Like, what was I going to say? The quintessential quintuplets theme song that plays before each episode. I have them tattooed on my wrist here. Whenever I hear the theme song, like, I instantly just get emotional, like, all of a sudden. Like, because like the memories that I have connected to them.
They trigger it.
Like, I started watching the show right around the time where my uncle passed. And they kind of got me through the grieving period and helped me feel a bit happier when I was sad. So I have that like memory, his memory attached to them, like in some sort of like weird way. But like what my grandparents don't really understand why I get so many tattoos. But what they don't understand is like I am emotionally attached to like all of my tattoos that I get.
I think that's the same with a lot of people though. It's the people who don't have lots of tattoos or only have like one or two that they just got as like a drunken experience. They don't understand the emotional attachment that some people put on them.
Like every tattoo that I have explains some sort of like my life story or like a different era in my life.
Like your first one was the getting through COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I started watching it back in 2014, but I started watching it again back in COVID lockdown because I was just bored one day and like, oh yeah, sure, just put on an episode. And I ended up loving it just like probably more than I originally did when I was younger. Because like the world is just so happy. It's like literally all sunshine and rainbows, right? And it just made me feel a lot happier when I was like cozy, anxious and sad and all that. And aside from that, the character that I love the most, Rarity, she represents the elements of generosity. And my name in Arabic, which is my dad's native language, means generous. So it also has a second layer of meaning. So I just found that kind of cool. So that's why it was my first one.
You had that connection instantly.
Yeah. And also Marin Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling, like she means a lot. She's like the person I want to grow into. Like she doesn't care about what people think, and she's like just herself unabashedly, and she doesn't care. Unapologetic to a T. And then also the quintuplets with my uncle passing away and all that. And same with the House of Gremory crest on my bicep. I don't really have an emotional connection to that, but it's just like one of my favorites.
That's fair enough.
And it's just like having the house emblem on my bicep just makes me feel like I belong in that house. Like I have a sense of belonging to that house, like a sense of like loyalty.
It's like how people feel a connection to, say, like Hufflepuff or Gryffindor.
Yeah, like or your favorite sports team.
Like I personally identify as a Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff. And the one with the little heart on it, that got me through a lot of my depressive episodes. And same with Ellie, she taught me to just like smile through the hard times and stuff.
Like you're gonna go through some hard shit.
Literally endure and survive.
Yeah, exactly.
But
things can only hurt you if you let them.
Yeah, and also the one on my thigh that I got an award for, she also helped me through a lot of depressive episodes. So
she's based on a Twitcher, isn't she?
She's a VTuber.
VTuber, sorry.
But yeah, her joy is so infectious that like she's like one of the only things that can legitimately make me happy these days. So
you got some people who have that infectious personality where it's like you're happy because they're happy.
Yeah, definitely. But
you get joy out of them being in a good mood.
I'm happy because they're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so every tattoo that I have has some significant meaning to me, which they're pretty much, I'm not going to say sacred, but just like very, very important. So if one person like started like shitting on them or doing something bad, I'd just be like,
they'd be like, you're talking about my baby.
Offended. And it's like, those are my girls right there.
It's like, you do not disrespect my women.
Yeah. And literally every tattoo that I have represents a female character. So I just find that kind of funny. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that has like a male connection with Joel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But Joel and Ellie, like, best duo. Okay, so I'm going to say they have the best, like, non-familial relation in terms of, like, characters. Whereas, like, Kratos and Atreus was, like, that whole dynamic between Kratos and Atreus was just, like, mwah. And when Atreus started acting like a little shit when he figured out he was a god, I'm just like, I want to strangle this kid. And then he's just like,
something that big?
He's just like, boy, I've killed bigger.
It's like, how do you know?
Watch your tone, boy. I love Christopher Judge so much.
He's like,
I want his voice.
Boy.
Get to the boat, boy.
We're gonna go catch Pokemon, boy.
Yes.
We're gonna catch them all.
Read it, boy. I'm the fucking god of war. Oh, I love that. I wish that they had kept that as like a little Easter egg thing.
Lamb's curse.
Yes. I'm the fucking god of war. Oh, I love outtakes so much. Since starting to do this whole voice acting thing, I have definitely got much more respect for what voice actors have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
And just like doing the editing for this book alone has... Holy shit. Like, this book is probably about 9, maybe 10 hours long in total. I've probably easily put 100 hours of editing into this fucking thing.
And the difference between voice actors and live action actors, right? Like, you literally are the character. Like, your voice is the character. Like, you don't have any stunt doubles.
No.
And you don't have any, like backups or anything. Like, you are giving life to the character.
See, if it was just a single character, I don't think it would be as difficult. But this one book has probably like 37 different voices in it.
Oh my god.
So trying to not only remember every single time which character you are, you also have, say if you've got like 10 Italian characters, you can't just do your one Italian accent. You have to do an Italian accent, but also put different inflections on it. You have to put different timbres, you have to different tones. Like there's some female Italians, there's some more high-pitched male Italians, there's some gruff like Italian generals and stuff like that. So it's like, you have to put so much more emphasis on these things. And I honestly thought when I first went in, I went in very blind. Like I went in thinking just like, oh, I can do voices. I can do these funny characters and there'll be no problem. When I started doing it, I instantly realized this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. But in saying that, the reward for the work afterwards feels so much greater when you put more effort in. Like, I love doing tattooing. Tattooing is the best job I've ever had, and I'm never going to quit it. I can technically make more money doing lots of little teeny tiny tattoos because I can just smash them out. Do minimum back to back, boom, done. But the satisfaction that I get out of doing these bigger, more elaborate pieces, even though technically for how much work I'm doing, I'm making less, I still feel better for doing the larger ones because it helps me grow as an artist. It helps me build my portfolio. It's more of a involved process. So monetarily, small tattoos are the way to make money. For the gratification and the job well done, bigger tattoos for me. And I've never been one who's been driven by money. But with the current climate the way it is, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like doing 2 jobs and I'm still fucking struggling. I don't know how the hell anyone works like a single job, working at fucking Coles or whatever, is able to survive without a fucking trust fund and a crypto wallet.
Like, I'm on the disability pension, and I get about $1,100 per fortnight. And I'm barely making it through. Because, like, I have to pay for all the subscriptions I have to pay for my phone bill, I have to pay for my therapists and the sex work. I mean, the sex work isn't necessary, but, like...
It's an expense.
It is an expense.
It's got to go on the budget.
And I have to pay for food, I have to pay for, like, eating out, and I have to pay for all this other stuff. And right now I only have about $35 in my bank account. I'm getting paid on Tuesday, so it's not really that big of a deal, but, like, I'm always, like, living paycheck to paycheck.
And that's why I actually like offering the ability for people to pay off their tattoos beforehand, because it does take that financial stress off on the day.
And I also have to put some money away a lot because I'm also trying to save up for a trip to Japan.
Oh, yeah.
So not only do I have to pay for all the stuff I have to pay for, but I also have to put some money away.
Savings, yeah.
And it's not as much as I would like because I'm like, oh, I want to put about like $300-400 away. But I'm like, no, I can't afford to do that because if I put that much away, then I can't afford this and I can't afford that. So I have to like carefully calculate every single little thing that I buy.
See, I wish that this was something that they taught more in school, was like how to do a budget, how to do like a spreadsheet, how to do like a savings portfolio. Because it's all stuff that you technically can learn in school, but it's not a subject that they make you take. Like business isn't a subject that every student has to take, which I think is weird. I reckon
I took business in like grade. I think I took business in my senior years.
I chose to do business, but I was also doing a traineeship at the time as well. So instead of doing sport, I would go and do my lighting and technical course, which I did nearly nothing with. But it was better than doing sport. So what was I going to say? The things that I wish that I knew are all stuff that I think should be taught in school, like the business side of things. But there should also be like I think that there should be like an early parenthood class as well, or like some sort of thing like that for all.
They do take like childcare classes.
Yeah. Because I obviously haven't been to school in like...
Well, obviously that's like an elective, so you have to like choose to do that.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I haven't been to school in like 13 years, so I don't know what they currently are teaching.
I remember in my high school, they were building like cubby houses.
It's all just the basic stuff, like how to change a tire, how to do all this sort of stuff. Like, I like that there's a dude on YouTube, I forget his name, but his whole thing is he grew up without a dad. So he had to teach himself.
Yeah,
you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So he basically teaches young boys like or girls, like all the stuff that a dad would teach you, like how to change a tire, how to tie a tie, how to do all this sort of stuff. I'm just like, that is awesome. Like the fact that he's gone out of his way to like, give not just like his own kids, but like other children everywhere something that he never had is freaking awesome. And I love that people are able to do shit like that. I wish there was more people like that.
Yeah. So if I take a break?
Yeah, I'll just finish this outline and then we will take a quick break.
Okay.
Let you have a stretch. I just needed to do one more string on the guitar. And the outline is Dunaroni. These strings are very, very long. Sweet.
It's looking good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you have The Last of Us Part 2 remastered on PS5?
I do. I was apprehensive about buying it because I'm just like, wait, they've already released a PS5 version. Why are they doing a remaster? It's like, oh, they've added all the extra stuff.
Yeah, because they have like all the deleted levels and stuff.
Like you can even like play guitar as like different people. Like you can play as Joel, you can play as Gustavo, the guy who actually wrote the music for The Last of Us. You can play through as Dina and all that sort of stuff as well. And
you can play as Joel.
Yeah, you can even play as freaking.
You can act like he never died.
Yeah, it's like, well, just pretend he didn't die. Right, brief intermission.
We'll be back up.
We'll be back after these messages. And away we go.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we rolling.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Look, Mom, on TV. I'm on the internet. I'm going to be YouTube famous. Not really. You might get a couple dozen people see you and be like,
No, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Who knows, one of these days I might be interesting enough to be famous. We shall see. And then people will go back and be like, I want to see his first things.
One of my English essays is actually on YouTube. My final English essay that I did in grade 12, we had to do an essay about a group of Australian stereotypes.
Okay. Interesting.
So I did one on the male My Little Pony fandom.
The bronies, yep.
Yeah, and on how they've been represented in the media and how they're wrong and etc. And one of my friends, he is in the fandom and he hosted a podcast about bronies and all their stories and stuff. And he said, oh my God, this is so good. I want to read it on my podcast. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. So he did it, and he uploaded it to YouTube, and it has about 100 views.
Nice.
So I was like, yay.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like one of my final English essays is immortalized on the internet. That's pretty cool to think about.
Nice.
I even sent it to my old English teacher.
Like, look, I'm famous now.
Look what I did.
I'm 100 air. It's kind of like when I did my very first podcast. It was completely impromptu. I had no idea it was happening. I was tattooing this rapper, TGT Reaper. And he was getting a tattoo done on his leg. And he just said, oh, my friend's around the corner. He's got his podcast gear. Do you mind if we just do like a quick little 20-minute interview sort of thing, just like for posterity or whatever? I was like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. So we just started chatting, and afterwards, I think it was like a week or so later, he sent me a little snippet saying, like, hey, we got this like 1-minute clip from the podcast. We thought it was really, really good. We wanted to put it up on our Instagram. Are you okay with that? And I'm just like, yeah, that's fine. Cool, whatever. He sent me a message probably about 4 days later saying, dude, it's at 300,000 views. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
300,000 people have seen my face.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit. And, or at least like, yeah, there's been views that many times. And then like a few days later, he's like, dude, 600,000.
Oh my God.
And eventually it got to the point where it was like 1.2 million. I'm like, God damn.
Oh my God.
And honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea it would ever happen. But from what I understand, it's just one of those things where, like, when you open yourself up and you don't put on a fucking fake persona, like a facade or whatever, people tend to gravitate towards that. And the story that I was telling was one of, like we were talking about before, about self-harm and such. And enough people gravitated.
Oh, was that the one where you did like the flowers for the girl? Yeah.
Yeah, that one hit a lot of people hard. And the way he edited it was beautiful. Like, he added a nice little musical undertone to give it that sort of like airy, sort of soft sort of feeling. Like, just like, if it was just me talking away like the way I am now, I don't think it could have ever gotten that. I think the way it was edited and the way it was all like put together was just masterful. And ever since then, I'm just like, huh, people actually do want to hear some of what I say. And it's like, I don't ever want to come across as like egotistical or something like that. It's like, the fact that people actually wanted to hear what I said and they wanted to hear the story, it was very gratifying. It was very humbling. And I do have a lot of stories, and it's like things that I've heard, things that I've experienced, things that I've seen. It's like, if it can help someone, if it can get through to people, if it can help them get through there, just give them a laugh. It's pretty much like the reason why I started doing this.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of stories too, which is why I'm on this podcast right now.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Is like the people who want to share their stories and the people who want to let the world know and see the different views of things, like we were talking about before, like the different viewpoints and like just because people have been portrayed in a certain way, like sex workers or bronies or whatever, it's like what you think you know is only what people have shown you, or like what, like one perspective that you may have heard, or what you've chosen to believe without actually doing any research or deep diving or whatever. And there will always be another side to every story. So being able to tell all of those sides is very important. And like, perspective is very important.
I'm actually writing a book right now. I haven't like done anything on it for like quite a while. I should get back into it. But I'm writing a book about these two people that meet each other. One's like a newspaper article writer person. And one is a stripper / prostitute / dancer person. And they get to know each other over the course of a few months because they just keep visiting each other. And every time they visit each other, they learn more about each other. And it just like shows that she's more than a sex object. Like, she's an actual person with hopes and dreams.
So kind of like the Pretty Woman-esque.
Yeah. And she's actually saving up money to get into nursing school. So it's just like, I don't want to say like break the taboo, because like
the stigma.
Yeah, like break the stigma. Like, of course, like some things should be taboo. Like, we don't want to talk about sex in front of children. Like,
no.
But I just want to like break the stigma and just like show people that those people are human.
Yeah. It's like, I was talking to a client the other day, and she was telling me that her child in school was being taught about like being transgender and stuff like that at like grade 1. And I'm like,
that you should at least wait until you're about 12.
Yeah, like I'm fully open for whoever you are, being like sexual orientation, all that sort of stuff, whatever. But there's got to be a limit.
Just play with your toys.
Yeah, it's like putting that into their heads that young is basically like saying to a little boy, is like, you can go into the girls' room if you want. Yeah, it's like they don't understand sexuality and stuff yet. They don't understand identity crises. Like, I've never met a 4 or 5-year-old who's just like, I don't know whether I'm a boy or a girl. So like, you don't have that identity crisis yet, so there's no point in trying to confuse them when they're trying to figure out who they are currently. Like, when you're like 15, 16, and you're starting to get to that stage, you can start to identify and do all that sort of stuff. But I've heard of like 12-year-olds wanting like a top surgery, or they're wanting to have like hormone replacement therapy. Like, you're not... Like, again, you may start to feel that way, and I've never transitioned. I don't know what it's like to be trans or anything like that. So, but there's got to be a point where it's like, if you're too young to drive a car, if you're too young to smoke, if you're too young to do all these sorts of things, there's got to be a point where you're too young to make permanent adjustments to your body when you haven't even grown into that body yet. Like, you may feel that way right now, but who knows if you feel that way in a few years, and if you still feel that way, all power to you. Go for it. Do the top surgery. Do the hormone replacements. Do the whatever the other surgery is called. I can't remember. And once you've figured out who you are, go for it. The trans and the trans community and stuff like that is huge, and there'll be plenty of people to support you. But when you're too young, I think introducing them to that so young is just going to confuse them more, because then they won't be able to grow up as a little boy, or they won't be able to grow up as a little girl. They'll be like, I don't know which one I am.
It's like, what was it? Like playing with girl toys and boy toys.
Yeah, like a boy playing with Barbie was very, very taboo back in the day.
I used to watch the old school Barbie movies with my sister when I was younger.
I remember watching the Barbie Swan Princess one.
Oh, that movie was so good.
Yeah. I actually remember watching that as like I think there was like 5 or 6 boys and like 2 girls were watching that movie when I was having a sleepover when I was like 5.
We would just be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. It's like, screw that old bitch.
Boys.
Lads. Yeah, so like watching a girly film, who cares? Like, I personally am not a massive fan of chick flicks. The wife has tried to get me to watch some, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. It's not my cup of tea, but I will endure. I could never just sit down and watch Twilight for fun. Like, if I was ever to watch that movie again, it would just be to poke fun at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to yuck anyone's yums. If you like that movie, fine. I personally
never watched it.
I think it's contrived. I think it's absolutely fucking hogswash when it comes to the script. I think the main character is completely one-dimensional and very unlikable. But
yeah, your show is pretty much doomed from the start if your main character is unlikable.
Yeah, like the main dude is just this rich, like, what's the best word? Monotone twat. And the main love interest between him and this werewolf boy that she's known for a long time, she's just not very interesting. She's very bland. She's like got zero expression on her face whatsoever. And I just don't understand why that movie got so much hype.
Because the guys are hot.
Yeah. And it's like, yay, they have nice bone structure. He's got muscles. Woo.
It's like 50 Shades. Like, that movie was super popular.
That was actually based on Twilight. They actually made that movie based. The original script was called Master of the Universe. It was a fanfic. It was literally a fanfic based on Twilight. And the chick who got picked up for the publishing rights from 50 Shades of Grey, she was an absolute nightmare to work with because she wanted to keep all of her things like the way they were. But the directors were basically just like, no, we need to change these things so we don't get copyright like strikes. Like, your idea is there, but we need to change a few things. If you want to go through with this, we need to make sure it's not like a 1-for-1 ripoff. But it's basically the same thing. Very one-dimensional, very unlikable male character, very uninteresting, very moderately emotionless female protag.
Like, I've watched the first 2, and I like them well enough. Like, they're not the best movies ever made, but like, they're entertaining.
They don't deserve the hype they got.
Yeah,
they don't have that raunchy fucking like, oh my god, this is so taboo.
Like, I've seen more erotic things.
Oh yeah, like I've heard of things that like have next to no they don't even talk about the sex. They don't even talk about like the raunchiness. That in those movies where it's not even a plot point is more raunchy than this one that's supposed to be like the, oh my god, BDSM wet dream. Like the wife reads these I think the Sarah J. Maas books, and they're way more raunchy than that. Or the what was the other one? The I forget the exact name of it, but it's all about like the it's another like vampire Valkyrie sort of thing. And I've listened to a few snippets of when she's been listening to it and been like, that puts 50 Shades to shame.
Yeah, I'm reading a pretty raunchy one right now. Actually, it's very spicy,
Hmm.
and I'm like, if this ever gets like a movie, then it'll put 50 Shades to shame.
Hmm. I think 50 Shades just had way too much hype, and then it could never live up to the hype.
Yeah,
Like, basically, unless it was straight up porn, it wasn't ever going to be up to the hype.
and no one ever goes.
Yeah, no one ever.
Porn for the story.
No, I'm sure there's some people out there being like, I do.
But there are some people like online that like professionally review like pornos.
He was like, oh, he wasn't a very convincing male man. He didn't even have the right uniform.
The camera angle in this shot was not very good.
Yes, this POV was a subpar. I did not feel like I was there. The immersion was off. I'm sure you've got like the porn redditors or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like back in the day there used to be that the cyber nanny thing. Like people had to literally be on a computer. Say like if your kid was getting to that age, you would get a cyber nanny so that they could monitor everything that the kid was looking at. So
my god, really?
Yeah, so they actually literally had to have a person sitting there monitoring everything this fucking child was doing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's like imagine being that as like just looking at dicks all day. Or the lady who has to sit in the dildo factory dipping the tips into the fucking like the dye to make it look realistic. So you just look so dead inside. I saw that photo online. It's like, you think your job is bad? I have to dye dicks for a day.
Or like animating hentai.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or like voicing hentai.
Oh, that yeah.
Or doing the Foley work, like making all the squelching sounds.
It's like, oh, how was your day, honey? Yeah, I animated.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I've seen things. I've had to make things. I don't want to talk about it. We're having calamari for dinner. No! Oh, jeez. I can just imagine there are some jobs where it's just like, how do you even interview for a job like this? Like, what is the process? Like, how do you get hired to do this?
Like, how do you come across it in the first place?
Like, what broke in your head where this is my career choice? It's like, there's a professional thing where you have to masturbate horses.
Oh my god.
Like, you literally have to hold this giant fucking horse vagina and hold it over the stallion's dick while he's trying to hump the mare. And just like, yep, off you go. For like specimen collection. For like when you got like a stud stallion and you're trying to breed with like 400 mares or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they got like a prize racehorse, so they got to like try and collect the sperm. Like there's a bull actually, I forget his name, but he's of such high pedigree. He's sired like 40,000 children.
I heard about a turtle named George. I think he's like 100.
Yeah, he saved his own species.
Yeah, and he saved his own species.
Yeah, and he's basically just been living by himself, just freaking jizzing in a cup for a couple dozen years.
What a life.
I know, right? Just humping his way into like he has a mate on the island, but they only have like a clutch every like 4 or 5 years or something. But yeah, he was like they took like specimens and did like the artificial insemination for like 100 other tortoises or something. It's like, yay! He saved his species. It kind of reminds me of like I never saw it, but there was a I was on Facebook and I was scrolling through and they were doing like top new anime things that have come out or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently there's one about like this virus that kills all the men. So
yeah, I think I've heard about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's like 4 or 5 dudes who were like in cryogen storage or something because they had like a disease or they had something they didn't have the thing for, so they had to slow down their metabolism. And when they wake up, they're just like, why is it all women? And like, yeah, I saw the thing for it. Was like, god damn.
I heard
it's basically like the tortoise dude. It's like it's all just him.
Yeah, I heard about this one show that was coming out. And it was about this group of young adults. They like live together. It's like both boys and girls. And I think it's a family actually. they believe they're all brothers and sisters, but then they take a DNA test and they realize that they're not blood related. So you can see how,
It's like,
how
well,
that goes.
she's not directly related. She's safe to be dated.
Sweet home Alabama.
Diddling dang dang. My sister is my brother's cousin.
Yeah, so it's like, how do people come up with these ideas?
It's very, very traumatic home life. Walked in on something they shouldn't have. It does make you wonder sometimes. It's like, when you hear about all these things, it's like, there has to be teams of people working on this shit. It's like,
Yeah, it's
not just one person.
Imagine being like in the boardroom and just like discussing the ideas.
Yeah, like I want to see the table read for these things. Where like the first script drops and it's like she gets penetrated by 12 separate tentacles.
And it's like, guys, I have an idea.
I have an idea. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna make millions and millions of yen. Oh, jeez. It does make me curious sometimes as to like how a genesis of a thought happens. Like there was a another video I was watching on Facebook about weird like video games and stuff like that. And apparently there's a video game where if you follow a specific set of things, you unlock the dick cannon.
Oh my god!
So it's like this like French-made anime chick, and she's just got a fucking cannon shooting out of her breast.
Oh my god!
And I'm just like, why? Why is that a thing? What? Who came up with this and why? And why was it implemented? Why was it animated? Why was this made an achievement?
Yeah, then there are the characters that are needlessly sexualized.
Oh yeah, like Jessica Rabbit on steroids.
Yeah. Like, have you played Nier Automata?
No, but I've seen the thing. So she's the blind chick, right?
Yeah, and
or Cyberblade, or what it is.
Oh,
Stellarblade, yeah.
Yeah, and the director of Nier Automata was having an interview, and people were asking him like, "Oh, why did you make the character so feminine?" And he's like, "Oh, because I like women."
Fair. To the point.
And they asked the director of Stellar Blade the same thing, and
people like pretty women.
His answer made a lot of sense. He was like, "Oh well, if you're gonna be playing as a character for like X amount of hours, you can at least make them attractive."
A lot of people actually got annoyed at the direction that they went for like Last of Us and stuff with like Ellie and also stuff. It's like, oh, she's not that attractive. It's just like, dude, like this is about like story and like survival and shit like that. Like they don't have time to glue up their hair and shit like that.
It's a freaking apocalypse.
Yeah, like there are some where it's like, sure, they can dolly themselves up a little bit, but you're not going to see a fucking clicker with makeup on, are you? It's like, why? The clicker's not sexy. They're naked, but they're not sexy. They got fungus on their face. Fucking Americans. And there was that other thing about what was her face? Aloy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they changed her face in the second one.
People got annoyed that she was made less attractive or something.
Yeah, like she's still attractive, but like people were just freaking out because her face was changed. And she had peach fuzz.
Ooh.
Peach fuzz.
Oh no, I'm allergic to peaches.
Same with the Dragon Age game. People were just freaking out because how woke it was.
Yeah, well, they made an entire plot point about it. It's like, I'm non-binary. It's like, okay. Cool. It's like, this is a fantasy game, so sure, anything is possible. It's like, you don't need to draw that much attention to it. Like, there's a thing called subtlety. Yeah. Subtlety is important. You don't need to bash people over the head with it. Like, the reason why a lot of people get annoyed by these arguments is because it's like they're not... You can put these subtexts and things in movies. Like, a great example was Soul, not Soul, Onward? Yeah, Onward. The one about how like they had magic in the world, and like the magic went away. Something like they had that scene with the Cyclops cop, and it was just like, oh, I've got to get back to the girlfriend's place, sort of thing. It's like it was a subtle hint, it was a subtle drop, but it's just like that is where inclusivity comes in. It's like when you don't draw attention to it, when like, you just let it be part of the story, and if you have it as part of your story, sweet. But don't bash people over the heads with it and be like, this person is non-binary. Accept it, look at it. Whereas like you could just be like, they could just say they or instead of she or like whatever you want to call it. It's like subtlety is your best friend. When you draw attention to it and you basically shout it at people's faces, be like, accept this thing that you know next to nothing about, otherwise you're a bigot. It's like, I don't understand what non-binary actually means. Like to me, I don't get. I
think it just means you're not like you don't
identify as one or the other. It's like that's fine, cool, but you're not a they, a them, because that's like that means you're two people.
I'm an attack helicopter.
Yes, I'm a heli. It's like, well, that's just bad English. That's bad grammar.
But another really good example is Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I never actually watched that
because he's an openly gay cop, and they don't bash it over the head, but he does mention his husband quite a lot. Like, oh, I go get back to the husband, or like my husband and I are going out for lunch. Yeah. So
just subtle drops.
His husband is a recurring character in the show. And it makes it part of his story because it's like, oh, I was a openly gay black cop in the 80s. So they make his gender identity part of the story of the show, but they don't bring so much attention to it that it's overwhelming. They just like, he's just a cop that happens to be gay.
Yeah. And that's what storytelling is all about, is it's the subtleties, the if someone wants to look deeper, they'll be able to just be like, oh, I noticed a thing, because I think the problem with a lot of modern media is that they have to try and include everyone in everything at all times. Otherwise, people feel left out. So they're kind of almost obligated to put in all of the diversity, all of the different genders, all of the different everything into every single thing. And it's just like, okay, I get inclusivity, but when it doesn't make sense for, like, say, a time period, or it doesn't make sense for a character or whatever, or if you have a character who's already a certain way in a source material, like, say, for example, The Witcher, when they changed Triss Merigold's character, it's like, but she was very specifically described in the book as a certain way, or they're doing it with Regis as well. In the source material, he's very explicitly described in one way. And I love the guy who they've got to play him in the new series of The Witcher, but he's not the right character. He's not the right actor for that character, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people who would disagree with me and say, oh, it's open to interpretation or whatever. But to me, when you have a source material that is so well loved by such a large community of people, and just to shit on them and be like, no, we're trying to be diverse, it's like, then write something that's diverse. Write your own story that's diverse. Don't take something that's already established and try to change it, because that's how you get people very pissed off at you.
It's like, because I heard some rumors for Frozen that they were going to make Elsa lesbian in Frozen 2.
She kind of seems more asexual to me.
Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, don't make her gay. Like, she wasn't gay in the first place, so don't make her lesbian, because she wasn't like that in the first place.
She definitely seems like she's more like to herself. Like, she doesn't really seem to have the whole romantic interest thing.
Yeah.
Like, even, what's his name, Hans talks about, it's like, oh, no one was getting anywhere with her. It's like, she didn't really seem like she was interested in relationships. And that's fine. You don't have to be. You know that she was actually based off a porn star?
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Yeah, she was based off like an Icelandic porn star named Elsa for the character design. I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious. And don't get me wrong, those movies were good, but again, they were a bit overhyped.
I do like the Frozen movies. They're probably my favorite, like, modern era Disney movies.
My favorite modern Disney movie was actually Inside Out.
Inside Out is so good.
I love that movie so much.
Have you seen the second one?
I have. And obviously, anxiety pissed me off, but yeah, it didn't hit as hard as the first one, but very rarely does it ever. It'd be like if they made an Up 2. I'm just like, sorry, you're not going to be able to get the same emotional response as the first one. I apologize. Not going to happen. I like Pixar's imagination. So Pixar has some of the best storytelling ever, honestly. They've got some of the most incredible storytelling elements, and the way they're able to tackle issues like race or internal thoughts and stuff like that in a visually appealing manner is masterful. It's like when they did Elemental.
Oh, yeah.
That whole movie
love that movie.
Was fantastic. I really, really liked that one. It was very, it was kind of like Zootopia for me. It was very like, you got the carnivore versus the herbivore, but then you got like the fire doesn't like water, yada, yada, yada. It's a really interesting way to tackle social issues in a visually appealing way that can be both children and adults. I think that's why I gravitate so much towards those sorts of movies, is because they're awesome and visual and colorful and pretty for kids, but they're actually very thought-provoking and meaningful to adults, honestly. Like, I've gone back and watched movies that I watched as a kid, as an adult, and I'm like, wow, I missed a lot. I remember this being way more jovial and fun and cute.
Yeah.
And then I watched fucking Hunchback of Notre Dame as an adult, and I was like, this is very rapey. Like, Frollo's whole thing.
Oh, he is
the horniest boy in all of Disney.
He is the devil.
He is basically just like, if I can't have her, Paris will burn. You can't even say the main word they use in that movie anyway, because it's now considered a racial slur.
Oh.
Yeah, the G word. I will take care of the...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're supposed to call them Romani. I didn't actually notice that until, I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I was looking for a design for a fortune teller. So I typed in the G word, and on Pinterest it was like, nope, you can't look up this. This is a racial slur. We do not like that. I was like, huh? Really? I just thought it meant like wanderer or something, but nope. It is not a word that you can use.
You want to know something funny? I was only about 16 when I realized what friends with benefits actually meant. Because I have a disability permit for me to park the car closer to wherever I'm going. And I'm like, oh, I'm a friend with a benefit because I can skip the lines at at theme parks.
I can skip the lines.
I can skip the lines and get free tickets and like park closer.
Hey, you want to be my friend with benefits?
And it's like, I'm a friend with a benefit. And I kept telling that joke to everybody, and everyone just kept laughing in my face. And like, what's so funny? What's so funny? And then I realized what it actually meant. I'm like, oh, okay.
Whoops. Context.
So, yeah.
Whoopsies.
Yeah, sometimes I just say things without thinking it through.
Sometimes you just say shit. Sometimes we just do things.
Remember, like, Peppa Pig's mother's pregnant with another kid, apparently.
Someone planted a bacon seed. And
they did an interview about it on like a British TV station. So like an interview with Mummy Pig. And,
is that her name?
Yeah. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig. So they had the guy speak to her, and she had like predetermined like answers and stuff.
Yeah, so it was all scripted, yeah.
But I didn't realize that. I'm like, how can they animate like live things? And my sisters were just like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like,
Like, are you
"Yeah."
dumb?
Like how is that possible? And I'm like, it's just like he just like sticks to a script, right? And it's like all about timing and all that.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh,
Whoops.
like there's just sometimes I just think of like say like really stupid stuff without thinking.
Yeah, I've done that a lot too. I kind of thought that when they were, I saw that video of Andy Serkis receiving an Oscar for Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and then all of a sudden he's accepting the thing, and then Gollum shows up on screen with him, and I'm just like, wait, how did that happen? And I'm just like, oh, it's CG. I'm dumb. I did a goof. Yeah, I've done some dumb shit like that. Like I've been on the phone to someone and I'll start looking for my phone. It's like, where the fuck is my phone? And they're just like, you're on it, you dickhead. It's like, oh, whoops. Or you'll be looking for your glasses and they're on your fucking head.
Yeah.
I have done that too often. Or I'll be looking for my earbud and it's in my ear.
Or I'd be looking for my phone and it's in my pocket.
Mm-hmm. I have done the dumb thing where I was looking for my keys and they were in the fridge.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think I'd grabbed my keys, I'd gone to the fridge for a drink, and left the keys on the fucking thing, and then I was about to go out, I was like, where the fuck are my keys?
Have you heard, they're quite popular on TikTok right now.
That I probably haven't heard of. I don't watch TikTok.
The second date updates.
No?
It's I think it was a radio station in Seattle. The radio show, the segment ended about 10 years ago, but they still get reposted online. And it's about, if you go on a date with someone and they don't call you back, the radio station can call them up for you and ask why they.
Oh, why didn't you call them back?
Yeah. And there was this one where this guy had to call this girl because he thought that she stole his wallet.
Oh.
So he was just like yelling at her, like, you stole my wallet. Like, where is it? Give it back. And she's like, I didn't steal your freaking wallet. Like, we were drunk that night. You probably just left it somewhere stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no. You stole my wallet. And like, oh, it's probably... And she's like, oh, I didn't steal your freaking wallet. It's probably like in the fridge or somewhere stupid. And she's like, have you checked the microwave? I'm like, why the fuck would I check a microwave?
Just do it.
And he just did it, and he's like, oh, I can't. He's like, I highly doubt it's in the microwave. And he just like took a big pause, and it's like, are you still there? And it's like,
whoops.
And he's like, it's in the microwave. And I'm like, and everyone just burst out laughing.
That kind of reminds me of my dad and I used to listen to this thing when we were in the car all the time, back when CDs were a thing.
Oh, yeah.
He had this recording of this dude called Roy Mercer. He was a radio guy who would do like crank calls to people over in the States. And he was like, my name is Ron Mercer. I'm calling you about that bowling ball down you got there at the bowling alley there. And I'm just like, it was the dumbest, most put on Southern accent I've ever heard, but it was always hilarious because he would always be calling you about the most random shit. Like, it was like, my son and I went down to the bowl down there and he got some sort of fungus on his fingers from your bowling balls. And it's like, his fingernail don't come on. And they're just like, but bowling balls. And just the dumbest shit coming out of it. And people trying to keep cool, calm, and collected while they're getting pestered by this, like, Texas ripoff. Like, basically, what's his name? The guy who was the announcer for WWE.
Oh, Gene Oakland.
He was with King.
Oh, JR.
JR, yeah. Basically, imagine JR doing crank calls.
My God, he's broken in half.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, he's coming off the top rope now. Yeah, that. Basically that as crank call.
My God, as my witness, he is broken in half.
Yeah, it's like, the pile driver.
You stupid son of a bitch.
Yes. We're going to get a dang gone slobber knocker right here. it was actually very, very entertaining. And there was like 40 or 50 episodes of him just absolutely messing with people. And it was great. We would be like on long car trips just listening to this shit, and I'd always crack up, even though I knew what the punchline was.
Yeah.
I actually want to find those again because they were fucking hilarious. Yeah, I want more like fun humor like that. Like, because I've seen a few of those prank channels where they actually go around and they like physically mess with people, or they'll like go in and they'll break shit in their store or something. I was like, that's not funny. That's just mean.
I saw a prank where this guy, he put buckets over like a stranger's head, and then he put a bucket over his head, and he started dancing just randomly. And then the person would take their bucket off and see that he had a bucket on and started dancing. So he just put it back on and started dancing with him. And it's like, oh, what? It's like, oh, that guy's dancing. Oh, I'll do it too.
Go. See, I think pranks are funny when they are harmless.
Yeah.
When they literally cause you like no physical harm. It's just a little bit of good humor. But the ones where they actually go in and they like actually like mess with you like physically, it's like no. Or they like you'll go and break, like basically think Jackass. Like they just go and break shit, or they'll go into like a nice family restaurant where someone's having a dinner or something, and then they'll like start dancing on the table or something.
Like I was watching a video about like banned YouTube videos last night, and there was this one where it was a prank, where this guy, he set up to like someone kill his best friend in front of him.
Oh. That's
so like he got like captured. Well, they both got captured, and then he woke up like tied to a chair with his friend like on the floor next to him. And they shot like a fake gun, and he was like super stressed. He was like, because he just thought that he saw his
friend die,
his friend go bye. And he's just like freaking out. And then they're like, oh, it's all just a prank. It's all just a prank.
That's not a prank.
And everyone just got super pissed off and just like asked the YouTube to remove it. But then YouTube was like, oh, it's not actually violating any guidelines.
It's like, no, but it's in very bad taste.
But eventually the guy removed it, so...
Remember back in the day when like people would be playing online games and then they would get their friends swatted?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, FBI, open up!
I remember the first YouTube video I ever watched was a video called How to Be Gangster.
Oh.
And it's just like this skit, right? These two dudes just messing around. And it would start with like this really puny, like nerdy kid just getting beat up by this guy, and the camera would just be like, hey, you. And it's like, well, me is like, yeah, you. It's like, want to learn how to be hip with the guys. And it's like, yeah, it's like, well, this DVD will teach you how to be gangster. And it'll just like, it'll just like go through like, rule number 1, rule number 2, like, you need to swear in every sentence you make, and you have to like dress a certain way, but it'll like just make it super hilarious.
That reminds me of like back in the day, the old like power thirst ads, like power thirst, 3,000 calories of absolute testosterone. It's like punch a shark and kick a cow. Like the old YouTube videos just had so much punch to them. Like, I still go back and watch like a lot of the vintage ones from like 15 years ago. Like I'll go back and I'll watch like Salad Fingers, or I'll watch like Welcome to Hogwarts or whatever. And they'll always make me laugh. Like Salad Fingers with like, I like to touch the rusty spoons. I like the way the feeling of rust is on my fingers. Or one my friend Jared and I always have a fucking giggle about is Welcome to Hogwarts. It's about it's a guy who used Gary's mod to make like the Hogwarts castle, and it's like Dumbledore and it's fucking like rubbery animation. McGonagall's just this like stock fucking like character, and it's like, Dumbledore's gonna talk to you kids now. You better be paying some attention now.
Have you seen that one when it's like Harry Potter and like and Hagrid is just like trying to get Harry to go to...
You're a wizard.
It's like, you're a...
What? That's the same guy. Same guy who made that.
It's like, I'm not a fucking
wizard,
wizard.
Hagrid. You're gonna get a fucking owl. You're gonna go to school and do your shitey spells. I'll put my dick in the owl.
Like, I did that when I was your age. That was a
bad idea. Oh, Pope, you're silly. Oh, I love that video so much.
You're gonna do spells and
You're gonna do spells and shit. And you're gonna be so fucking happy about it.
Yeah, that video still makes me laugh.
Oh, it's great. Basically, the same dude who did that did the other Hogwarts one, and it's dark. It's like basically Dumbledore's been like, anyone who goes into the 3rd floor will be taken by demons with 12 penises. It very much got censored very, very heavily because there's a few things in there that are just woof. Ugh. Like, even Shrek makes an appearance in the original one, and it's not good.
Oh, Shrek's everywhere.
It's basically like when they made, like, the horror games, where, like, they made the SpongeBob horror, they made the Shrek horror, they made the Slender Man horror. It's basically of that era.
Mm.
Yeah, Shrek's doing something in that video that is... Yikes.
So if I go take a toilet break?
Sure, let me just finish shading this one. And then I will wrap you up. So this one's there. I don't know why I've gone French, but this is what happens.
I saw this tweet about this, someone in France, and they were just like, I just got talked to by a French person. They just said, how do you say it in a French accent? My bucket list is complete now.
How do you say in the French accent? My bucket list is complete now. Alright, grab the key. Alright, intermission number 2. We'll be right back after these short messages. Back out! I never damn took his head clean off. 3.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's coming together. Not much longer to go. Yeah, I know that part's spicy.
That's okay. I'm a borderline masochist these days, so...
Borderline? How many times have you come back? I think we're well over the line, my friend. Mm-hmm.
Man, the soundtrack was so good, but the movie
was... Ugh. Yeah, the Suicide Squad should have stayed as an idea.
The one that James Gunn done was so much better, though.
I haven't seen that one.
It's much better. It doesn't even hold a candle to the...
Is that the one with the giant starfish?
Yeah.
Basically, Patrick's being like, I'm going to kill this entire city.
Yeah, and Sylvester Stallone plays King Shark.
Okay.
So he's just like, and he's like, yes, that is your hand. Very good. Hand in. It's like, everyone checking on comms is like, bird. And it's like, no, wait, stay off this station. And there's literally a scene where he rips the guy's, like, body clean in half.
As you do, when you're a shark.
And it's like the blood and guts just spill everywhere, and I'm like,
Yummy. It's like when, what's his face, Juggernaut does that in Deadpool, or Deadpool 2 is like, I'm going to rip you in half now. That's such a Juggernaut thing to say.
Do you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
You call me bitch. That's how we do it in Mother Russia.
Have you seen the Terrifier movies?
I've seen bits. Like, I know the main things that happen. The things that they're famous for, like the old Vagisaur scene.
Yeah.
They seem very, gratuitously and unnecessarily graphic. Like, I know there are some people who love that shit. Like, I've got a client who's absolutely in love with Art the Clown. Like, she's got a tattoo of him on her arm. But... yeah, not my kind of films.
I tried to get Dad to watch it, and he got up to the Vagisaur scene in the first one, and he had
like,
to turn it off. He's like, no, this is getting stupid. Like, how do you even watch that shit?
Or it's like people who watch Saltburn and they get to the grave scene and they're just like, oh my god.
I haven't watched Saltburn.
It's fucked. It's like where Terrifier is gratuitously graphic and violent. This is just gratuitously graphic and like disgustingly sexual.
Oh, okay.
Like gross sexual. Yeah.
Like the way that I look at it is like the more bad things you see Art the Clown do, the more you want to see him die.
But he never dies.
But he just like comes back because he's literally
exactly. He's basically like if Freddy Krueger, Pennywise, Jason, and frickin' Pinhead had a baby.
But like I also know like all the behind the scenes stuff and like the inspiration behind it. It's like I know all like the behind the scenes stuff, so I kind of appreciate it from like a filmmaker's perspective.
Oh, as a filmmaker thing, it's like great. Like it's the same thing with the guy who made the Human Centipede. It's like this is not a movie to sit down and be enjoyed. This is meant to trigger you. This is meant to make you feel things. Mm. Like the dude was even in one of his own films, and in his own film, he was just like, ugh, why? He's like, yeah, you made this, asshole. Like, you have to accept the fact that it is gross and disgusting. Like, number one is fucked up and weird. Number two is just, fuck. Number three is just like, I don't even know why I'm on this planet anymore.
Yeah, I'm staying far away from those movies.
Yeah. Don't do it to your sanity. There are some films which exist where, again, it's that thing where it's like, what was the pitch meeting for this? And who agreed? Like, there's a movie called A Serbian Film.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, a lot of people have heard about that one. And that is... I've watched it. I have never been the same since I watched it. Like, there are scenes in that movie where it's rough. It's fucking hard to even describe because it would just get flagged instantly and this entire thing will just be deleted. But it's the fact that they had to A, write this, B, pay actors to act it out, C, have someone sit there and edit this shit, who have to sit there for hours and look at these scenes over and over again and be like, I did a good day's work today. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Because, like, for a film like that, it's never going to get international acclaim. Like, it's never going to, like, no one's going to go to buy a fucking Blu-ray DVD of it because you can't fucking buy it anywhere. It's illegal to own it in several countries. So it's only able to be, like, illegally downloaded or something. And even that film had deleted scenes that were too much.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they finally released the unedited version like 2 years ago, which had like 7 scenes that were removed because they were too graphic for the first one. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not watching that. I would never be able to bring myself to watch that again. Yeah, I seriously don't know how the hell some things get made when other things get rejected.
You hear that Squid Game got rejected like 10 times?
15. It got rejected 15 times.
Netflix picked it up.
And it became the most viewed thing on Netflix. I wasn't a massive fan of season 2, but
Squid
it's a
Game
cliffhanger.
is awesome, though.
Oh, it is. It's it ended on a cliffhanger, so it pissed me off.
Yeah, I think the season 3 is coming out like 27th of June.
They're making a Squid universe. So they're actually doing like a Squid Games Origin. They're doing Squid Games International.
I heard they're doing one that's like set in Australia or like set in like...
I think there's one in the States or the UK or something, yeah. It's basically the same thing. It's like billionaires from across the world have come together and basically made a human zoo where they kill each other. But yeah, they're going to do one about like the very first Squid Game as well, like going way back when Il Nam first came up with it.
It's like, guys, I have an idea.
I have an idea. You're gonna love this. You know all those poor people we got polluting our cities? How about a way to get rid of them? And then they become one of us if they win. Yay. Yeah, boss, that sounds like an awesome idea. Now, what are we gonna do if they don't want to take the money, boss? Shut up, Mimsy.
Yeah, what's his name? Jihan was just like using his money to track them down.
Yeah, Gihan, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, his whole thing was like he was trying to shut down the games, but then he just fucking went back in. Like, dude, you could have gone and seen your daughter for a little bit or something. Like, get on the plane, go see your daughter, and then seek for vengeance.
Yeah.
Like, it talks about that he missed like the last 3 Squid Games or something because he's been fucking waiting for the recruiter guy to come back around. So it's like, you could have used those 3 years to pay people to investigate this shit, go spend time with your daughter, and then if they find him, sure, come back. But, like, he just went back in.
He's just a really bad father.
He is. He's a really bad dad. And a bad son. He's not actually that good of a character, to be honest. He was very selfish. Like, he's getting a friggin'...
It's like, if you don't have the means to provide for your child, then you shouldn't have the child.
Exactly. I feel that way about a lot of, like, issues with, like, parenting and stuff these days. Like, the problem is, like, you're going to always have the unfortunates. You're going to always have the ones who are down on their luck, don't have quite enough money, who just keep pumping out kids because that's what they do. And unfortunately, governments love that shit. They love having poor people. So population control is...
Did you hear that Japan's actually paying people to have babies because the population is too low?
Yeah, which is bullshit. See, I think like an early form of birth control should be a thing. Like, you should have to get a license to have children. Imagine having to like, so if you like had boys that were vasectomized or some way of like preventing like the baby hormone in girls or something. Obviously, there'd have to be a very specific way to do it to show there wasn't any permanent damage or irrevocable whatever. But imagine if you could say like turn off the switch that makes babies when they were younger. And when they passed the test or they got the license or whatever, they could have it reactivated. So you get all these people who could actually provide for their children, who will actually take care of them, do all this sort of stuff, rather than you get all these people who are just spitting out kids left, right, and center with no means to look after them. They're putting themselves in debt. The kids are getting into foster care. It's unfair, and it's a sad thing to see. So if you can pass a test, it's like you have to have a test to, or a license to have certain animals as pets. You have to have a test to be able to drive a car. You have to be able to, all these sorts of things. Like, kids are arguably more of a they are more a responsibility than any of that. So you need to be able to prove that you can look after them. It's like, for people who want to adopt a child, you have any idea how much paperwork
that takes years.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine if they had to go through the same bullshit like that the people who want to adopt children have to go through. The world would be a much, much less populated place. We don't need Thanos to do a snap. We just need people to freaking turn off a switch on the productivity, whatever it is, gene. And then once they pass the test, they can have kids. It's like that movie Children of Man, where they didn't have children for like 30 years or something. So like the world's population kept dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and then eventually the thing came around again where children were being born naturally. Because as the world has gone on, the population has exploded. Like David Attenborough did a thing on his latest documentary thing. When he was born, the world's population was like 1.5 billion or something like that, like back in like the early 90s. And we're at sitting close to around 8 billion-ish, like 8.4, I think, now. So in less time than one man has been alive, the population has boomed by 7 billion.
Damn.
So can you imagine what the next 100, 200, 300 years is going to be?
Well, I heard that like most people of my generation are just choosing not to have kids because the world is just really like fucked up.
That's what I mean. It's like the world doesn't need more people. It needs better people. So people who have the ability to look after the kids, the people who are going to do everything they can to make sure that these children are wanted and looked after. Like, you see and hear these stories about these women who are having like 12 kids to like 7 or 8 different dads. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, A, your body is going to be destroyed from that. B, you can't financially look after that many kids unless you're a fucking millionaire. And C, those kids are all going to be messed up in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, like they're all gonna like grow up and just like start asking questions.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot of questions, not only for the mother, but like, well, why? Yeah, like having that many kids back to back to back to back to back in the same area just makes no sense to me. Like, you need to have a very, very specific sort of income and household to even house that. Like that freaking movie, Two by the Dozen.
Yeah.
Like, they had to have massive fucking houses and they were struggling. They were making bank and they were struggling. I don't know. Kids shouldn't be a commodity. They should be earned. Like, children are one of those things where if you nurture them the right way, show them the right kind of love, show them all the attention, all the affection that they need to grow and thrive, there would be a lot better people in the future. It's all of these people that you see that were neglected, that were treated like shit, that were abused, that had all these horrible things happen to them. They're going to come out like fucking assholes. Like, the more children you neglect, the more Bundys you create. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple of kids who grow up to be psychotic, fucking mental people because you can't notice everything from how they grow up or childhood or whatever. But nature versus nurture, nature generally wins out.
Yeah. Like, bad behavior isn't inherited. It's
taught.
It's taught.
It's like the people who say, oh, pit bulls are all like evil dogs. Like, no. The people who mistreat them.
It all just depends, like, the environment that you grow up in and what you're exposed to.
Yeah, like, if you see these dogs that are brought up in the fighting cages, obviously they're going to be, like, aggressive. But if you raise a puppy with all the love and affection in the world, give it all the attention it needs and nurture it and love it and bring it up with your kids, friend for life.
Like, my best friend, his family got a Kelpie.
Sheepdog.
A couple of years ago now. She looks borderline like a dingo, but she's a Kelpie. And they got her from the AWL, so I think she was like abandoned or something. So she was very fearful about humans. Like, whenever someone would come up, she would just like start barking.
Yeah, or she would curl her tail between her legs.
Yeah, and no one wanted to adopt her because everyone just saw like, oh, she's aggressive.
She's broken, yeah.
But then his family saw it and they kind of just saw past that. So they just kept like staying with her just to make sure they're comfortable. And they actually ended up adopting her.
That's cute.
Her name's Jessie. And she's very, very sweet.
That's what it means. Like, you give the right...
Like, yeah, she is still, like, anxious a lot. Like, she still barks at everyone that comes over, but she is very sweet.
It's like I knew someone who had a dog that didn't like men, specifically, because always abused by men when she was a puppy. Loved women, never had any issues with them, but the second a man came into the room, hackles are up, went for their ankles, basically just, like, went into full fight or flight mode, or flight mode.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it was like a man that she'd known for ages, but that she smells the fucking man coming into the room and it's like, oh. It's like, that is understandable. That, like, you'd be abused by a specific gender or whatever it is when you're young. It's just like, that's going to be fucking ingrained in you.
It's kind of like my therapist's, because I saw a female psychologist for about 10 years, and now I'm seeing a male one. Just because the one that I was working with wasn't really helping me anymore. Like, the advice that she was giving me wasn't really getting through to me.
It's like if you have a military veteran or something go to a psychologist, and the psychologist wasn't in the military, you're never going to get through. You need to have someone who understands, who's been through what you've been through.
I was researching different psychology clinics, and I wanted to see a female because I just feel like
you get along with them better.
They're a lot less like judgmental, and I can open up to females a lot easier than I can with guys. Because in the past, like when I try to open up to guys, they just like make fun of me or just like don't care.
I wouldn't do that.
So, well, except for you.
Hmm.
So I just feel a lot more comfortable like opening up to a woman because I feel like they're a lot less judgmental.
I get it.
But they recommended me to a guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give him a shot. I've only had one session with him, but his approach is a lot more scientific.
So you can appreciate like the extra levels that he's going into.
Instead of just being like, oh, how did that make you feel? Or how does this make you feel? He's like, okay, so this is how your brain works, and this is how your emotions are triggered by different memories and
like your serotonin
and
your norepinephrine.
And like
breaking it down.
He's like breaking it all down and like why we react, why we do to different things.
See, I love that. I love that sort of psychology. I love to understand why things happen, not just, oh, it happens just because. It's like, no, I need to know why it happened.
It's like, oh, if you're in the car and you see something and, well, if you're walking on the street and you see a car accident and someone dies from it, the next time you see a car pass you might just get triggered for like no reason. Because that bad memory is connected to that.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you get the visual trigger from the emotional response or vice versa.
Yeah. So he's a lot more scientific, which I don't really know how I feel about that yet because I've only had one session with him. But
yeah, you got to obviously take some time.
Yeah.
See, I would like that. I would like someone who actually breaks it down. Because I like to understand the inner workings of things. Like when I was a child, I loved that show, How It Works, how they make everything or how it's made or where it is. So that sort of psychology thing would be right up my alley.
There's actually a book I saw on Amazon called like The Last of Us and Philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
It goes into the lessons that The Last of Us teach us and like how we can apply it to our own philosophies and the way we live life.
I wonder how they break into the whole thing with Joel at the end of the first game. Like the decisions he made was made purely on emotion.
It's still being debated today.
Oh yeah. Like I love Joel and Ellie. But if you look at it as an outsider with no emotional attachment to the characters, Joel is a bad guy.
Yeah, like Joel basically give up saving millions and millions of people.
And didn't even give her the choice. Like, if it's like the question is like, say, if you were given the option, like say, if you woke up in a hospital bed, you'd gone through all this bullshit with Joel and they stood there and they asked you, look, there is a way to cure humanity, but it will kill you. What do you decide? It's like, you would have to be a very selfish person to say, no, I value my life over the life of millions and billions. It's like, I would openly sacrifice myself and say, hey, if my life can save that of literally everybody else on the planet.
Because I feel like if you said no, then everyone's deaths would be on your...
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would not physically be able to be like, no, I can't let everybody else's deaths be in vain just because I want to live. Like, I would much rather have it be like, my death can mean more than my life ever could.
It'd be like Iron Man sacrificing himself.
Yeah, like I am Iron Man. Like, basically that. Like, his one sacrifice saved everything.
Yeah.
And even Ellie says it. It's like, I was supposed to die in that fucking hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. So yes, Joel had that thing with Sarah and he didn't want to lose another daughter figure sort of thing. And I get that. That emotional attachment is why that story is so compelling. But as an actual outsider perspective on it, it was the wrong choice. But sometimes wrong choices are made, so you need to see where those consequences lead. It's like with Dina and Ellie at the end of the second one. Like, when Dina's just like, stay here, you don't need this. Like, she doesn't get to be more important than the two of us. It's like, you've gone through all this bullshit to start a family, to get the farm that you guys were talking about, and then you choose fucking revenge. And you don't even go through with it. So you go through
Tommy.
Yeah, you go through all of that, and you don't even go through with the revenge. Like, at the end, you're just like, no, she doesn't get to be more important than that, but you've already made the mistake. They both made huge mistakes. And the fact that Dina left, good. It meant that there was a consequence to her actions. Like, I love Ellie. I love Joel. But they made some fucking terrible choices.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Terrible choices should be met with a consequence. And you learn from them. You learn from your mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are fucking huge.
Like, she wasn't going to go after Abby until Tommy
fucking showed up, and then he guilted her into it.
Fucking Tommy.
And Tommy fucking did a big 360, because originally he was just like, no, you don't go. He's my brother. I'm going to go do it. And then when he's like, well, I can't go. It's like, dude, look what you just fucking went through. Like, you killed all of her friends. You fucked her up. Is that not enough? Like, yes, she was the one who swung the fucking club, but
you killed all her friends.
You killed literally everything she cared about. Except for Lev, but that was a new addition that they didn't know about. And yeah, like, you're always going to have people debating. It's like, oh, I love Joel and Ellie. I fucking hate Abby. It's just like, arguably, Abby had it worse.
I hate Abby as well, but I get
why she's there. Like, she had it way worse in terms of what she lost and when. Like, the fact that her dad was the one who was going to cure humanity, and Joel comes along and just
he has such a grand purpose.
Oh, yeah, like, and he seemed like a fucking decent dude, cracking jokes, collecting coins. Like, as a person who loves Joel and Ellie, I fucking hate Abby. I hate her guts. But I get it.
Yeah.
I understand why she did what she did. She obviously went about it the wrong way. But I get it.
Yeah, it's like...
Like, if someone did that to my family, fucking hell, there would be nothing on heaven or earth that would stop me.
Yeah, it's like Captain America and Iron Man in Civil War.
Yeah. Like, your friend killed my parents. It's like, yeah, but he didn't know that. Even Bucky didn't know that.
Yeah, he was just under the...
I was like, he was under the influence.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if you've known for fucking however many years that you're a sleeper agent and you have a fucking phrase that's going to trigger you, would you not think of some sort of mental meditation or something to block the sounds? Like, this dude's known for how long that some of these words will set him off. Could you not, like, create a mantra or, like, send yourself to another place where you don't hear the words?
Yeah.
Or find a person who can unhypnotize you. There's the reverse hypnosis thing that sleeper agents were going through. Like, they would actually have themselves deprogrammed. I don't know. I guess that would mean there would be no conflict in those movies. So every time I have one of these arguments, I have to think, it's like, well, if that was the case, then there wouldn't be a movie, would there?
The movie has to movie.
Yeah, movie got a movie. Conflict got a conflict. Plot got a plot. Dumb got a dumb.
It's like all the stupid decisions that they make in horror movies.
Oh, yeah, every time they split up.
It's like, don't go in that house. Don't split up. Don't do that.
Don't open that obviously cursed locket that's going to make the freaking murder hillbillies come after you.
Yeah.
Like that movie Cabin in the Woods. I love that movie, how campy and self-aware it is. It's like, yes, you had zombies, but it was zombie murder torture family. They're both completely separate species. And they just got like a fucking box full of freaking horror movie villains stashed underground. And then Sigourney Weaver comes out and it's just like, of course it was fucking Sigourney Weaver. I don't think I've actually watched a good horror film in a long time. I haven't actually seen anything that's grabbed me and been like, damn, I've never seen that before.
Because I feel like horror movies are very divisive.
They are.
Because people find different things scary.
See, my thing that always gets me is ambient presence. So when you feel the sense of dread, like jump scares don't scare me. They startle me, but they don't scare me.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you get that That's fight or flight. That's not scared. So, like, one of the movies that I love and I always recommend to people because of the ambience that it has is Autopsy of Jane Doe. It is one of those movies when I watched it, I expected nothing from it because it was like a B-grade horror film. It had almost no advertising. It was just like, we'll give this a go. It was so well produced and created such a fantastic atmosphere of like dread and suspense. And I love that film. It is so well made. It is so well produced that I haven't actually seen another horror film since then that's made me feel the same way. Because when you watch something like that, you want to feel that sense of like something could happen at any fucking second, but it's not like a jump scare. It's just like, what's going to happen next? Or that like feeling that something is always watching you.
Yeah.
Like that to me is one of the biggest senses of dread. Hey guys.
Hello.
I'm just finishing off a podcast. I'll be about another 5 minutes. So if you guys just want to sit and chill, won't be long. That's my next peoples.
Oh, okay.
It's alright.
Am I almost done?
Yeah. We're in the last few bits and pieces, just doing the highlights.
Have you seen the new Alien movie?
Romulus?
Yeah.
No.
It's really good.
I do know that they hired that teen basketballer to play the mutant alien thing at the end. He's like 7'6" or some shit.
Yeah. At first I thought it was CGI, but now it's like it's an actual person. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's like the guy they got to play the first Alien. It was another like teenager who was extremely tall, but they never even credited him for the film. He wore the original Xenomorph suit, and I think he got paid like $200 or something ridiculous. It's like, dude, the dude was the original Alien, and you fucking did him dirty like that. Yeah, he was like 7'4" or something ridiculous. It's like when you got that kind of height, it's like you can pretty much just like get whatever role you want, but they need somebody big and tall. Actually, one of the funniest things I saw was when the guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones went over to Iceland. He was standing next to these like two teenage guys, and they were like 7'6", and he's just fucking sitting there, just like they were up here on him. It puts it into perspective. I could just imagine being that tall. You would hit your head on everything.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to be, like, self-aware of everything.
You would have to drive, like, a massive fucking American truck. Imagine getting into a Mini Cooper, 7'6".
Oh, my God.
That would be hilarious. Your fucking knees would be in your ears.
You'd be like that guy in The Simpsons.
Yeah. Or, did you ever watch, like, the original 101 Dalmatians?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remember, I think his name is Jasper?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's driving his little truck and his fucking knees are up here. He's like... just imagine that would be how you would be driving. Almost there. And we're done.
Are we actually done?
We are actually done.
Oh.
Whee! Dun, 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 dun. Cause it's the final white count. Diddle-doo-doo. Diddle-doo-doo-doo. Watch that get fucking copyright. Alright, I like it a lot.
That's sick. Oh, another one to add to my collection.
Oh, yes. Alright. Now we'll do the final little revealer video and we'll... Alright. Last of Us add-on piece. All done. Owl. Guitar. Cassette thingy. Bag. All drawing. Alright, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you for the next one. Thank you for Karim for being on here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.